Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9.
The director of the Crawford County Health Department says Crawford County is ahead of the state average when it comes to COVID-19 vaccinations, but there's still room for improvement. Details are coming up.
Another vaccine option could soon become available for children as young as 12. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
The latest Labor Department report shows inflation on the rise. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with more on the latest numbers coming up.
Nick Kelly has weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Authorities arrest 2 suspects in a Berry County, Missouri murder. The suspects are Carlos Gutierrez and Jonathan Marquez. They're being charged with second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and tampering with physical evidence in a felony prosecution in the death of Daylon Anderson. Anderson was found dead from a gunshot wound back on May 28th. A third suspect, Dylan Williams, is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Missouri Highway Patrol responded to a crash this afternoon. Look at that, involving a semi and a MoDOT vehicle. It happened at around 3:30 this afternoon at the intersection of County Road 255 and Baseline Road in Jasper County. There's no word yet on injuries. Well, another summery day, but it's not officially summer yet. Meteorologist Nick Kelly and I were just talking about that right before the news, right?
Yeah, Mother Nature should know summer starts on June 20th. Apparently, she didn't get that memo, because you don't believe me, folks. A high of 93 after a mild start at 70, but with that high of 93, we had the moisture feeling like we were in the upper 90s to near 100 today. Nothing out there on the radar network. I can't rule out a stray shower or thunderstorm during the overnight hours, but the bigger storms that I'm watching out to our north and west across the northern plains. These will eventually come together overnight and try to make a run toward us by the time we head toward tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. But right now, Jordan, we are still in the lower 80s. It's going to be kind of a warm night, another hot day tomorrow. Plus, we'll time out those storms for tomorrow here in a bit.
Sounds good. Nick Kelly, thank you. Quapaw Nation Business Committee voted today to unanimously voted to disqualify former Chairman John Berry as a candidate for Vice Chairman. Berry led the tribe for more than 20 years. He's currently facing 11 criminal charges in Quapaw Nation Tribal Court, including embezzlement and conspiracy. Well, like other parts of the four-state area, Crawford County, Kansas also saw a spike in COVID-19 cases after Memorial Day. But the director of the Crawford County Health Department says that's more of a blip than a trend. She also says the county has a lot to be proud of when it comes to getting vaccinated against the coronavirus. KOAM's Mike Mahoney has the details.
Joplin's Mercy and Freeman hospitals recently saw a spike in coronavirus cases following graduation and Memorial Day celebrations. But the Crawford County Health Department director says that phenomenon wasn't limited to Missouri.
So we did see a slight uptick this week. For the last 4 weeks, we had new cases were just in the single digits each week. And this week so far, we have had 20. New cases.
Multiple 4-state health department directors tell KOAM they'd like to see a lot more of their county's population vaccinated. And while Crawford County Health Department Director Teddy Van Kam believes there is still work to be done in her county, she's also very proud of its progress.
We do have 50% of our population is vaccinated, which is wonderful. This Kansas rate across the state is 43%. And we're right at 50. So, I think as a county, we're doing pretty well.
But that doesn't mean there's not room for improvement, especially with vaccination rates dropping across the 4-state area and across the country.
They're trickling in now, but most of the other counties are seeing the same thing, more of a trickle than in the heavy stream we had before.
The Crawford County Health Department director says she wants to see everyone who's eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine get one, but says the 18 through 35 age group is the one that needs the biggest push. And she's also got a message for anyone who's on the fence about getting the shot.
Do your research and look at it, but also consider that you don't want to expose maybe elderly grandparents, other loved ones that you spend time with, and also lost wages are hard to make up, lost school days are hard to make up. So do your research and get vaccinated.
In Crawford County, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you'd like to book an appointment to get vaccinated at the Crawford County Health Department, just click on the link in this story on our website. See it right there, KOAMnewsnow.com. Another COVID-19 vaccine could soon be available for children as young as 12. This coming as the FDA extends the expiration date on Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more.
Moderna says it has asked the FDA to authorize its COVID-19 vaccine for use in children as young as 12. Clinical trials showed the vaccine was 100% effective. If approved, it would give students another option for getting vaccinated before the fall.
As the older population gets vaccinated, where can the disease spread? Where can COVID spread? It will spread now among the younger people.
CDC advisors say the number of heart inflammation cases in 16 to 24-year-olds was higher than expected after receiving a second dose of Pfizer's or Moderna's vaccine. Preliminary data showed the cases typically occurred in males, with most responding well to treatment. The agency advises people to look out for symptoms, including chest pain and shortness of breath.
There are more reports after dose 2 compared to dose 1. Slightly more after Pfizer than Moderna, but there has been slightly more Pfizer vaccine doses administered.
Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson says the expiration date on its vaccine has been extended an extra 6 weeks. The original shelf life was about 3 months. CDC data show nearly 11 million J&J doses delivered to states have not been administered. California, Texas, and Florida account for more than a quarter of those unused doses.
Even if we're more slow at getting more immunizations, trickling through, I think that is still progress.
At this point, the U.S. is not expected to reach President Biden's goal of giving 70% of American adults a first dose by July 4th. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
A new poll says older Americans took more to alcohol during this coronavirus pandemic as a remedy to deal with its social effects. University of Michigan polled 2,000 Americans aged 50 to 80 on drinking before and during the coronavirus pandemic's first 10 months. About half said their drinking increased during the pandemic. 23% have at least 3 alcoholic beverages in one sitting. 27% said at least once in the past year they had 6 or more drinks. 10% said their drinking became a problem, but few sought help. Primary reasons were to boost their mood, lower lockdown stress, and loneliness. The latest inflation data out today shows consumer prices rose 5% in May compared to the year before, the fastest rate since August of 2008. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in Washington with more on how this increase is hitting people's wallets.
If you're shopping for a used car or truck right now, chances are you'll be shelling out more than you usually would. Prices for them are up 7.3% from last month, driving much of the inflation gains, per a Labor Department report. Food, clothing, and airline tickets also costing more.
I look at a 40-pound case of chicken went from about $40 to $130 in 2 weeks. That's food costs you can't deal with.
Consumer prices in May rose by 5% from a year ago, the fastest pace in nearly 13 years. The report, however, unlikely to rattle the Biden administration, who sees the spikes as temporary and even a sign of the economy recovering as people return to their usual spending habits.
We're making progress, and while we're seeing some inflation, I don't believe it's permanent. But we will watch this very carefully.
Stocks opened higher on Thursday, shrugging off concerns of inflation. But many Republicans feel differently, saying the $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus package the president signed in March is overwhelming the economy.
They're doing a lot of damage to the economy. I think what's going on now and what they prescribe for the future is what will be on the ballot in November of 22.
Despite concerns of inflation, the Federal Reserve Chair says it's unlikely to raise interest rates this year, seeing higher prices as transitory. The topic likely to be a point of discussion when the Federal Reserve meets next week. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Brock Starrett has served in the U.S. Air Force, joining in 2001. Native of Joplin, Starrett has been stationed in Iraq and Afghanistan, earning numerous awards. And we are proud to thank and salute Major Brock Starrett. He's tonight's 4 state hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, former Moso standout Cam Martin beginning his final season at KU. Going to hear from Martin in sports.
Hot and humid today, but we've kept quiet overall for today. It'll be a different story, though, by the time we go into tomorrow afternoon and certainly tomorrow evening. Even though the partly sunny skies billowed on up once again because of the heat and humidity throughout the day, it didn't result in any scattered rain or storms. So we had a quiet time-lapse from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, but holy cow, these temperatures. We lower 90s yesterday, near 70 this morning, and at the very least back into the lower, if not mid 90s for this afternoon. We'll do it again tomorrow while we keep an eye on our next best shot for some strong and possibly severe storms. We didn't have anything to deal with so far today, just partly sunny skies, nothing underneath the clouds. We're still looking quiet on the radar network. I'm not going to rule out, as temperatures drop a little bit and upstairs too, maybe a slim chance for a couple random showers, maybe a random storm. But this radar is going to be busy by tomorrow evening, keeping an eye on storms eager to roll on in. But looking quiet and nice from 7th and range line. Again, I want to stress, looks nice, still doesn't feel so nice. 83 in Joplin feels like 89 with the dew points kind of up there at 73. Most of us are in the lower to middle 80s, but you factor in the humidity, it still feels like we're in the upper 80s to lower 90s, even at the 9 o'clock hour on this Thursday night. Again, overall, we're quiet as we stand at the 9 o'clock hour, but as expected, we are seeing these thunderstorms erupt from Nebraska all the way up into the Dakotas and into Montana. That's firing up ahead of our next cold front that's going to try and make a run toward us by tomorrow and Saturday, but also the jet stream coming into play. This upper ridge is trying to keep the heat in place, but this upper low in Montana is going to force those storms east and then to take a dive toward the south, right toward us by the time we head toward tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So far, it's just a marginal risk of severe weather with the storms for tomorrow, but Doug and I have been constantly talking, looking at the latest model output. I would not be surprised if this gets upgraded to a low risk of severe weather by tomorrow, but from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to about 11, let's watch for wind and hail being the biggest threats with these thunderstorms as they work on through. Now let's time it out for you with your future track forecast. Again, tonight, nothing to worry about really, a random shower or storm or two. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of a warm night with lows around 74. Partly to mostly sunny to start the afternoon, and look at 4 o'clock, pushing close to the mid-90s. So in general, 74 in the morning, 90 by noon, highs are 94. It'll easily feel like 100 with the humidity in place, but watch the radar. 4 o'clock, those storms are projected to come working in from Kansas City. Again, this could be wind and hail with the biggest threats, along with some heavy rainfall, but by the time we hit 10 or 11 o'clock, the worst of it should be south. I still don't want to rule out a couple of storms on the backside of this complex for Saturday. Overall, though, it's going to try to cool us down a little bit. 94 tomorrow, 89 Saturday, back to the lower 90s so for Sunday and Monday. But once we get past thunderstorm chances on Tuesday, Jordan, hopefully temperatures are a little more tolerable with mid-80s Wednesday and Thursday.
Doug Hetty always says the summertime is boring. But for the time being, anyway, Mother Nature is still keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, sometimes in the month of June she could throw a curveball or two our way, but curveballs we'll keep a close eye on.
Yeah, Nick Kelly, thank you. Coming up, President Biden's overseas trip.
President Biden announcing plans to help vaccination efforts in nearly 100 countries. I'm Caroline Shively. I'll have that story coming up.
In his first full day overseas as Commander-in-Chief, President Biden held talks with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, discussing some of the biggest issues impacting the world. The President also outlined the importance of helping other countries in their fight against the coronavirus. Fox's Caroline Shively has these details.
We've had a good first full day here in the UK.
President Biden in England announcing the U.S. will donate 500 million Pfizer vaccines to lower-income countries in the hopes of putting an end to the pandemic and halting any growing influence from China and Russia.
We know that raging COVID-19 in other countries holds back global growth, raises instability, and weakens governments.
Earlier in the day, the president held talks with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Been to a great country many times, but this is the first time as President of the United States.
The two leaders agreed to a new Atlantic Charter, which aims to strengthen the two countries' relationship and focus on issues like climate change, cyber threats, and trade.
I'm very pleased that in a very high-profile way, he and Prime Minister Johnson are coming together. It is a very globalist agenda as opposed to two sovereign countries making an agreement, and that's where the worry is.
Here at home, lawmakers are anticipating another high-profile meeting next week when the president meets with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
This conversation with President Putin is going to be direct, it's going to be candid. He's going to raise our issues of concern, including these cyber attacks from outfits who are based in Russia.
President Biden is set to meet with G7 leaders on Friday. A likely topic will be how to lift travel restrictions between countries. Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Just ahead, investigations underway in the Branson area where Chihuahuas are being dumped. Going to hear about some possible leads.
The best.
Someone is dumping Chihuahuas in the Branson area, causing a lot of problems for animal control officers who are trying to round them all up as the numbers continue to grow. Joe Hickman reports on the massive effort underway to save them and find them new homes.
At the Taney County Animal Control Facility in Hollister today, people were showing up with food and volunteering their time because of
the Chihuahuas. That's so sad, and to have that on top of all the other animals, I know they needed some help.
There are 27 new Chihuahuas at the Taney County Animal Control, just a part of the larger contingent of the same breed that's been dumped at various locations all across the Branson area, from Reed Spring to Ridgedale.
Over by the Welk Resort, Fall Creek area, that's probably the epicenter. That was where the majority of them were found.
Simpson suspects that it's a dog breeder that's been doing the dumping because
we're seeing 6 months and over dogs, and the majority of them are male. There's backyard breeders. They're not licensed by the Department of Ag. It could be a situation like that. It could be someone that's lost their home, and these were all dogs that lived with them.
Right now, there are more Chihuahuas showing up every day. And it's an overwhelming situation for area agencies.
I've worked the Joplin tornado where we had masses of dogs, but no, this is the first time we have experienced this. And it's just disheartening because they're actually not bad dogs, they're just all really scared right now.
Aside from a few medical problems,
for the most part, they have been healthy, other than being covered in ticks, but that may be from running for we don't know how long.
And the dogs will be fostered out through area rescues and humane societies.
If you get one Chihuahua, you might as well get two.
They do have socialization work that needs to be done with them. None of them appear to be house trained in any way.
Simpson said Branson police are investigating the matter, with animal neglect a possible charge.
The tricky part is going to be tying all these dogs together, and that may have been why they were all put in separate areas.
It's just totally ridiculous that somebody would be that cruel to poor defenseless animals.
You can check the Taney County Animal Control Facebook for updates on which rescue or humane society the dogs are being sent to. But a heads up here, it's going to take at least a week before the Chihuahuas at the animal control facility will be eligible for foster care or adoption. At least a week. He's small but packs a punch when it comes to guarding money for a jeweler. More on this squirrel that takes his job pretty seriously when we come back. All right, so quickly, we're going to continue this conversation. I was saying squirrels, I've seen some mean squirrels, man. Someone, Sean behind the camera was saying raccoons can get mean, and they can, but I've seen some mean squirrels. A Turkish jeweler assigned a furry friend to protect the cash register and belongings at his business. The man rescued a squirrel, which he named Memo Can. Look at this. Get out of here. After spending several months in the jewelry store, Memo Can was assigned to security and became very protective of their cash register. Get out of here. Leave that money alone. When the squirrel isn't at the register, he's a fan favorite of customers when they come into the store. The jeweler is hopeful Memo Can, who is recovering from a paw injury, can return to the wild someday. I love that. Get out of here. Leave this money alone. Come on. You would expect that squirrel to get protective over food that he can eat, but he knows that money is important to someone.
I think that squirrel thinks it's his money.
Yeah, well, that's Nick Kelly was saying that squirrel might think that money is his. That's a possibility. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to hear about a unique opportunity to own some history of Humboldt, Kansas. Also, a paintball range with a patriotic history. will soon be closing. Going to hear from the owner. City of Humboldt, Kansas recently changed all of their street signs, and now they're selling the old ones. Their street signs are now blue and white. The old ones were white and black. The city is selling hundreds of the white and black ones for $10 a piece.
The old signs, some of them are pretty weather worn and pretty bad shape, and it's interesting because some people want the ones that look new and some people want the ones that are really weathered. But it was a complete surprise to me. I didn't expect it to be such a hot commodity.
More than 250 signs have been sold already. They are available, in case you're wondering, over at Humboldt City Hall. For the past 24 years, the D-Day Adventure Park over in Wyandotte, Oklahoma has hosted the D-Day Battle. This year is the last year, so we send KOAM photojournalist Ty Parks to check out the final battle.
Also an event to recognize the World War II veterans. My grandfather was on Utah Beach during the Normandy invasions, and so that history has always been with me as a kid growing up, so that's what's inspired this. Once he passed, and I always wanted to do something for him.
Everybody doing good? Everybody got water? Everybody got paint? So this is year 16 for me. Actually, my kids got me into it back in 2005. You know, I had about 300-400 players up at the top, and the sounds of those markers opening up were I couldn't even see the beach or from where we were staging at. All I could hear was the sounds, and the smallest glimpse of what it might have sounded like during that time, you know, storming the beach, and you know, I fell in love with it.
When I was a kid, I loved playing paintball, and I would tell her stories when I was in the military, you know, about how we go out and play paintball and stuff like that, and she just said she wanted to play it, and she gets behind some cover, we sneak through some brush, she pops up 25 feet from somebody takes them out, and they're a 32-year-old man.
I'm in my late 50s now, and I'm thinking about maybe doing something different. So we're going to hang it up on a high note, and we're going to put this chapter behind us. It's time to do something else.
While the Adventure Park will no longer host D-Day, it isn't closing, however, and will still play host to other paintball and airsoft events. Columbus, Kansas Skill Resource Center hosted its Customer Appreciation Picnic today. Skill is an independent living resource center for people with disabilities. Today's picnic served as a thank you to customers who keep the nonprofit running.
Skill's a big family, and really the people that work for Skill, we all become what becomes a lifestyle. So you either live the life or you just don't really fit in.
As we saw earlier, Skill was also offering free COVID-19 vaccines to people who wanted one. Some kids in Sarcoxie, Missouri got a ride on a streetcar at the Webb City Farmers Market. Yeah, fun times. 2 busloads of kiddos showed up for the fun trip.
I rode it one other time, and I think I might ride it again.
Yeah, I might ride it again too. I've ridden it once. Kiddos were also treated to a free lunch and story time. Humboldt, Kansas is the place for a growing type of interactive activity. Pretty cool, I think. People can walk around and see different signs or pages of a book called How to Catch a Dinosaur, a fun children's book.
It makes it just worthwhile to see the faces of the kids out doing the story walk, and the grandparents get to enjoy it, and having the community support means everything. When you're a small library, you need that community support to help everything go the way it needs to go.
First page is in front of the city's library. You can continue reading the pages west down Bridge Street, and the last page is at Humboldt City Hall. The wife of a Mexican drug boss entering a guilty plea today, admitting she helped run the day-to-day operations of his cartel while he was in prison. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has more on this story.
Emma Coronella Sparrow
The wife of Mexican drug lord El Chapo pleading guilty Thursday in federal court in D.C. for her role in helping her infamous husband run the Sinaloa drug cartel.
She's excited to move on with her life. She's disappointed that this is how this had to happen, but she's happy to get on with it.
The 31-year-old was arrested in February at Dulles Airport in D.C. Prosecutors say she aided and abetted the cartel's operations in smuggling thousands of pounds of drugs into the United States, and that she served as an intermediary to deliver messages to cartel members on her husband's behalf after he went to jail. She also admitted to helping her husband plan and coordinate his escape from a Mexican prison in 2015. Coronella Sparrow is a former beauty queen in Mexico. She's now facing a potential life sentence and a $10 million fine for conspiracy to distribute heroin, cocaine, meth, and marijuana in the United States. She also faces charges for money laundering and narcotics trafficking.
We've got a fair judge, we've got fair prosecutors, and we're just hoping for fairness, which is all we ever request.
A judge set her sentencing for September 15th. Her husband is already serving a life sentence at a federal prison in Colorado. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
A bit later, our President Biden Impact Series.
Anti-Semitism is rising in the U.S., but what's fueling the fire, and what's President Biden doing to stop it? I'm Steve Rappaport in New York. More on that coming up.
The early taste of summer still in place for today. Hot and humid with highs pushing into the lower to mid-90s all across the area. Even with partly sunny skies across Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. This is how everybody looked throughout the day, but that cloud cover again did not stop us from heating up once again. And a surprising change of pace, though, actually a continuation of yesterday, the resultant heat and humidity hasn't really amounted to much in terms of any random showers or thunderstorms, so we kept pretty quiet underneath partly sunny skies all day long. Still looking quiet for now on the radar network. I'm not going to rule out maybe a straggling shower or storm overnight, but we're going to see better rain chances working here fairly soon, as early as tomorrow afternoon. For the time being, though, 7th range line, it's partly cloudy up top, quiet, looks nice. Still doesn't feel so nice. 83 in Joplin feels like 89 thanks to a dew point sitting at a really muggy 73 degrees. And it's the same story outside of Joplin. Everyone in the lower 80s, mainly between 80 and 83. You factor in the dew points, the high dew points, it still feels like the upper 80s to lower 90s, even as we're starting to push the top of the 10 o'clock hour. All right, let's broaden the view out. Look to the north and west. These are the thunderstorms I've been keeping an eye on all day long. Even though they're not going to be an issue for us tonight, these storms are firing up ahead of a cold front that will start to edge toward us as we get this weekend underway. Not only that, the upper levels are coming into play. We're still trying to stay hot with this upper level ridge building off to our south and west, but this upper level wave in Montana to help trigger the storms is going to force itself to ride right around the ridge and push those thunderstorms eventually south. So we need to keep an eye on those storms as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So much, in fact, we at the very least have a marginal risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Between 3 o'clock at the earliest and as late as 11 o'clock. Doug and I have been looking at things, though, and it would not surprise us if we saw an upgrade to at least a low severe threat blanketing a good portion of the area by tomorrow. But we'll keep an eye out for these storms regardless of how strong or severe they'll be. We'll have to watch for wind and hail being the biggest stress, not to mention some heavy rainfall. The future track, again, maybe a random shower or storm overnight, but mainly kind of a warm start in the morning with lows around 74. Partly sunny to start the day and going into the afternoon, but it is going to be hot and humid once again. The planner has us at 74 in the morning, 90 by noon. Highs around 94, but note the radar starting at 3, 4, maybe as late as 5 o'clock. The storms coming at us from the north out of Kansas City will start plowing through. Here's what the radar could look like by 7 o'clock, getting close to the I-44 corridor. Again, with this configuration, wind and hail will be the biggest threats. And here's 10 o'clock. The last of that should push to the south, but I'm not going to rule out, let's say, a couple of thunderstorms on the backside of that for Saturday. But tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, that's going to be our best shot for strong and possibly severe storms. 94 tomorrow, 89 Saturday, lower 90s with a dry Sunday and Monday. And then behind Tuesday's rain chances, Jordan, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get highs back in the mid-80s by Wednesday.
And the best news is tomorrow is Friday.
Yeah, regardless of how it goes, always good to get a Friday underway.
Yeah, no doubt. Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, Joplin Outlaws returning home to face Sedalia. Plus, The Oklahoma Sooners aiming for their 5th softball national title. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Get up.
The Joplin Outlaws are on the field tonight at home against the Sedalia Bombers. After a 3-0 start, the Outlaws have dropped back-to-back games to fall to 3-2 in their first 5 games. Joplin tries to avoid a 3rd straight loss tonight against the Bombers at Joe Becker. Down 1, Outlaws find a run in the 2nd. Jeb Jenkins pops it to center. Cade Lott cashes in on the sac fly. Game tied 1-1. A nice inning for the Outlaws in the 3rd. Lott finds the grass and left for the RBI single. Brett Wiemers comes home. Then Jenkins out to the same spot. This one brings in 2. Joplin gets the lead to 4-1. Outlaws pour on the runs to finish the game in 7 innings, 13-1 the final. In the major leagues, the Royals continue their West Coast trip, kicking off a series against the A's tonight. That one is scoreless in the top of the 4th. Mike Minor's given up just 1 hit so far, striking out 2. Women's College World Series here, Game 3 between Florida State and Oklahoma. The winner earns a national title. Jocelyn Allo doing what she does. Solo shot. 1-0 Sooners. Now another solo homer here. This time, Jada Coleman makes it 2-0 Oklahoma. But they're not done there. Here in the 3rd, Coleman off the wall. 2 more score on that. Jada Coleman drives in 3 on the afternoon. Sooners go on to win today 5-1. Oklahoma claims its 5th national championship and 3rd in the last 5 years. Former Missouri Southern All-American Cam Martin transferred to KU this offseason to play the final year of his college career. Martin got to campus in Lawrence on Sunday. One of his first duties as a Jayhawk, along with a few of his teammates, is helping out at Washburn camp this week. Martin, KJ Adams, and Bobby Pettiford all on hand to sign autographs, work one-on-one with the kids. Now, the former Lion has started workouts with the team up at KU and says so far it's been a smooth transition.
I think I was kind of used to the pace and the tempo Coach Self was going at yesterday. Just being at college and having 4 years under my belt, I kind of know what coaches expect, what coaches want out of you. So I think that's going to give me a little bit of advantage from the beginning, just knowing what coaches expect.
I text Jeff Boschee and Ben McCollum, who I'm on a group text with. I said, hey, breaking news, actually Cam's transferring to Washburn, because I took a picture of him at our camp and they were laughing about that. But I wish I could have had him on my squad, but he's a good player at Division II level, and excited to see what he does at KU.
Staying on the hardwood, the Tri-State 66ers bringing minor league basketball to the 4-state area. They play their home games at the Pittsburgh YMCA. Now, the roster made up mostly of players from the Joplin, Springfield, and Kansas City areas. The 66ers are in their first season playing in the Mid-South Division in the PBA, the Professional Basketball Association.
The way it's structured is a great league. It gives opportunity, because we're also partnered with the EuroLeague. So film, stats, anything that's generated throughout this entire season goes over to places like that, to where they're able to scout and then hopefully get players an opportunity to be able to play overseas. My goal is to get these guys somewhere in a league where they can be making some serious money.
The 66ers play at home this Saturday at 7 p.m. We'll have our full story on the team getting started in Pittsburgh right here tomorrow night. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
There's been a rise in hate crimes targeting American Jews since President Biden took office. In this edition of our Biden Impact series, we take a look at whether the president is doing enough to stop this new wave of religiously motivated attacks. Fox's Steve Rappaport has more from New York.
Harassment, hate, and violence. That's the new normal for many Jews in the U.S.
In the month of May, we actually saw an 80% increase in anti-Semitic attacks and incidents.
The American Jewish Committee says there's a link between that increase and the recent conflict between Israel and Hamas, but it's not the only cause, noting there's been a steady rise in anti-Semitic attacks over the past 5 years. Last month, the president denounced the new wave of anti-Semitism, writing in a statement, quote, "These attacks are despicable, unconscionable, un-American, and they must stop." But some American Jews are looking for more from the White House, asking President Biden to put a bigger focus on stopping religiously motivated attacks.
We're really grateful for the administration taking a tough stance on anti-Semitism. We do believe, though, that there are many things the administration can do and can continue to do.
The president has directed the Justice Department to deploy more resources to combat the surge in hate crimes. According to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic events in the U.S. hit an all-time high in 2019, and they remained high last year as well, with more than 2,000 incidents reported. Community leaders now say public awareness and a united front are key.
We've seen incredible efforts by non-Jews, by allies on their social media, condemning the anti-Semitic attacks, saying that this is, not okay.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell introduced a bill to combat the rise of anti-Semitic hate crimes, but it's unclear when or if it will be considered by the Senate. In New York, Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
Gonna get a recap of last night's CMT Music Awards when we come back. The fans chose the winners and were entertained to a star-studded show of performances last night at the 2021 CMT Music Awards. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with a recap.
I don't know about you all, but after this past year, I'm thirsty for a great party.
The 2021 CMT Music Awards, hosted by Kane Brown and Kelsey Ballerini, brought the party from Nashville. Both hosts performed as part of a superstar lineup, which included collaborations spanning the genres. Her and Chris Stapleton rocked out. So did Carrie Underwood with Need to Breathe. There was Miranda Lambert with Jack Ingram and John Randall. Mickey Guyton performed with Breland. Then she performed with icon Gladys Knight. Guyton also led the presentation of the CMT Equal Play Award to Linda Martell, a pioneer for black artists in country music, and the first black female solo country artist to perform at the Grand Ole Opry.
Brace yourself, but don't give up.
As for the video winners at country music's only entirely fan-voted show, duo or group video of the year went to Little Big Town for Wine, Beer, Whiskey. Gabby Barrett won Female Video of the Year for The Good Ones, and Kane Brown Male Video of the Year for Worship You. Brown and Chris Young took Collaborative Video of the Year for Famous Friends. CMT Performance of the Year went to Kelsey Ballerini and Halsey for The Other Girl.
I'm here to save the world.
And Anthony Mackie presented top prize of Video of the Year to Carrie Underwood for Hallelujah, a collaboration with John Legend.
Thank you, fans!
This extends Underwood's reign as the most awarded artist in the show's history, now with 23. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a baby monkey at the Lake Superior Zoo in Minnesota. Oh, enjoying a little ride right there and some treats as well. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.